When the illusion that rattles the mind compels a once ambitious and promising damsel to succumb and pick up the garment of desperation in an attempt to conform to societal expectation and fit into our peers' outlook, the crave to numb the floating feeling, and a desperate yearning to be a reference point at family gatherings rather than the center of reprimand and comparison that she was now accustomed to. The glitz and glam our friends showcased compelled her to question her very essence and query why the good things of life were far from her reach. On a flip hindsight, the whitewashed charade they paraded blindsided her from their true reality. They were individuals acting out a script. Nellie for once seized every opportunity to brandish her achievements at Ladies' Time Out. However, behind the flicked curtain laid deep-seated secrets. Tessa, on the other hand, presents the picture-perfect exterior of her home and seizes every opportunity to switch to the marriage counselor role with answers to every marital challenge. You need to step up your game, girl. You must be intentional in your search for your dream man with a matching deadline. How do you think I was able to get the best man in the world? You also need a total makeover. No cash cow will look your way with this boring style of yours. Wake up, girl. This is 2025. The trend has changed. Nellie slipped in subtle mockery. For a second, Beatrice lowered her head to hide the embarrassment, then raised it up with a rush of emotion. Yes, it is 2025 and we have a new trend, but I am not a conformist, which you already know. I carve out my own style to suit my taste. What anybody else thinks is irrelevant. Beatrice lashed back, sending a stern message. Sorry, I was only trying to help. Then she exchanged a satisfying gaze with Tessa as the Ladies' Time Out wrapped up. Now alone in her room, Beatrice for once questioned her judgment. Why she still hung out with these ladies when all they do is throw shades at her for not leveling up to their achievements. The irony is the swift transformation crept in after they tied the knots. She did not want to sever ties with them, so it won't be concluded that they drifted apart because of their marital status. However, the glaring truth is screaming loud. Run for your dear life. Beatrice was woken up by a call. She glanced through her phone screen, but it was an unknown number. Just as she turned to catch a few minutes sleep, she was interrupted by another call from the same number. She released a long yawn and grabbed her phone. Hello? Hello? Beatrice, don't tell me you are just waking up. Hello? Who am I speaking with? Oh, let me joggle your memory. The guy you met at the filling station a fortnight ago. Paul? How did you get my number? Babe, when a guy wants something, he goes all out. Beatrice chuckled beneath her breath at the thought of the whole scenario playing out before her. Thanks for helping out. That's no big deal. It can happen to anyone. The bottom line is, your tire was not in a bad shape and you had a spare one. Before long, the conversation digressed and they spoke at length like old friends who were catching up on pending gist. The connection was simply electrifying and the friendship was bath. Beatrice crossed paths with Yinka at the store, another friend in the clique who received frequent bashing for settling with a secondary school teacher which they termed a poor choice. Yet the so-called teacher has an engineering background but settled for his passion, which is teaching, in one of the top league schools in highbrow Victoria Island. She hinted that without prior inkling, Nelly's bubbly persona faded away and was replaced with a petrified demeanor. She crawled to her shell and slammed the door to her cocoon. She became a recluse and isolated herself from the regular societal gatherings that she was accustomed to. Despite attempts from friends to find out what the problem was, she shielded in defense and left them guessing at the possible cause of her sudden transformation. Beatrice was shocked at the news as she bade Yinka farewell. Then came the news flash from one Miss Unanimous, which hit the social media space and sent everyone scrabbling for their devices on the juicy gist. Apparently, Nelly's marriage was contract-backed with terms and conditions. Frank made it clear from the onset that it wasn't the marriage type. Rather, it was a prerequisite he needed to meet to assess his family's fortune. Coupled with that, the marriage had to be blessed with a minimum of 2 offspring. Hence, the marriage timeline was 5 years, period. Upon termination of the marriage, Nelly will be settled abroad with the children, while her hubby takes possession of the family fortune. However, before the public eye, they would always portray the perfect marriage. Nelly considered the arrangement out of sheer greed, without in-depth pondering of the implication. However, nothing prepared Nelly and Frank for the shock that awaited them. While they rested on their horse, expecting the family fortune to fall on their laps with ease, board members' collusion ramped up behind the scene to form a brick wall. There was a loophole in the chairman's takeover policy, which the opposition took advantage of. Frank was skimmed off the roll by the new majority shareholder. While they were still trying to grapple with the new reality, the second shocker struck. Frank had taken a couple of loans to sustain his lavish lifestyle, and they were non-performing. Hence, the banks descended on him heavily and took possession of his collaterals, leaving him with only his current residence. By implication, Frank had to resume back to his old office that he had abandoned for months in anticipation of the new role. This was a big slap on his now inflated ego. As British scrolled down to the end of the story, she placed her tab on the side of her table and pondered. So these so-called friends of hers had been stringing her along in their world of illusion, yet it was all a lie. The other day she got a distress call from Tesso. Her husband sent her packing because she no longer appealed to him. He immediately replaced her with his new crush. Why was she so anxious to measure up? Why, for goodness sake? One step at a time, she whispered to herself. I refuse to be caught up in the comparison snare. I will be intentional and face my life's goal.